Yeah.
Okay. Well, the song that Gower played there is the song that I think they had at the end of each session during the East-West Gathering. It was the song that everybody left the the under the pondal and everything left the gatherings with that song, and everybody would join in. And Irwin, most of you know Irwin there, and he heard of Baba when he was about 20 or something like that, maybe 21. And he met Baba in the early 60s, and they went to the East-West Gathering, which is November 1962. And he's gonna one of the things he's gonna share is that especially. And Irwin called me up a few hours ago and said that he didn't have any power at his place, and so I was thinking I'm either going to have to ask Goer to talk about the East-West Gathering, or I'd have to go to Sheriar Press and get an Irwin Luck mask and just wing it, on the 62 Darshan. But they've got them there for sale if you need. Anyway, um, so he's going to share his times with Baba. He and his brother had many intimate times with Baba. And then at the end is open to questions and answers. And if you can stump Irwin, I'll give you a new copy of God Speaks. Okay, so Irwin, you have the floor if you can unmute yourself.
I'm unmuted.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've stumped myself. So now when do I get the copy of God Speaks?
No, it you
Oh,
know it's
somebody else has to do it. All right.
yeah, that's it.
I understand. I got that. But you're talking about the East-West Gathering and the things that happened, what Baba did there and how he arranged it. Because this is a gathering that wasn't even supposed to happen, uh, or it was supposed to happen at an earlier date. But then Baba said the time was not right. But in November of 1962, the time was right. And what kind of a thing this was? The world was about to be blown up at that time. It was the Cuban Missile Crisis, if any of you remember about that or have read about it. It was a time when the where Russia had put in to Cuba missiles to shoot at the U.S. if there was ever a war. Well, the United States didn't like that. Kennedy didn't like that at all, and he decided to take the fleet, the U.S. Navy fleet, and blockade Cuba so that these ships, these Russian ships with the missiles, couldn't come in. Now the world was on the verge of a disaster, a nuclear disaster, a war. You can't just stop any ships on the high seas. It's against all international law. But nevertheless, this is what was happening. Now, uh, I'm mentioning this because this is exactly when Baba wanted his East West gathering to bring the East and the West together in a common feeling of love in his presence, in his company. Well, the flights that we were supposed to be on were still going. And we got on the flight, and the blockade was in full swing. And the world didn't know whether there was going to be a world coming up soon because of this possibility of nuclear war. And that's when we took off to go to see Baba. Well, I always knew Baba liked drama. I didn't know he would go to this extent exactly, but he did. Anyhow, we got there. And as if that wasn't enough, China had just invaded India. So we came in and the flight came in. I was amazed that the flight was even allowed in. But the flight came in and all this military equipment of India was going towards the borders to resist the Chinese invasion. And this was now a double header. Both India was being attacked and the world was waiting to see what would happen when the US ships stopped the Russian ships. Now, a very interesting thing happened, as if that wasn't interesting enough, but there was even more. We came to see Baba. Now, Baba, the buses took us to where Baba was in Pune at the time. At Gur Prasad was where the great gathering was to be held. And we now are all, there's 5,000 people sitting in front of Baba. Baba is on the dais. And this reporter comes up to the dais and he wants to know, and Baba allowed him to come up, and he wanted to know whether India would win the war, be victorious. This was his question, this reporter's question. Baba, with no hesitation, he said, India will be victorious because the avatar is in India. But remember, I am also in the Chinese. So, and then it went on about the conflict that was about to happen between Russia and the United States. And Baba said, the time for the Third World War is not, this is not the right time for a Third World War. So I will avert it. Okay, now the next day, what do we see in the papers when the news came to us that Russia had decided to take their ships back, and the US, as a result, took their ships back, and the whole thing was nothing anymore. It was all blown over. There wasn't going to be anything. And then China, for some reason, this was really quite mysterious to me, all of a sudden decided to go home. They didn't continue their invasion. They just up and left. And they were winning because China was very strong. India was really no match. So this occurred at the East-West gathering when Baba brought the East and the West together, you see, in front of him. And his love was very strong when you were in his presence at the time and the things that he was doing. Well, what did the reporter report? In the newspaper, he says, India will be victorious, Mayor Baba says, and left out the whole part about China, that he was also in the Chinese. Because Baba's in everything. To him, it's all a dream. It's like a dream. You have a dream, you can make anything happen in it that you want. It's your dream. So in the larger sense, the whole universe, everything is just illusion. It's an imagination. And Baba has said this time and again that God alone is real, all else is just illusion. So what does that mean? If everything is illusion, it has to be like a dream. And he even pointed out that it was a dream. But the thing is, a very important dream, because this dream is all part of the workings of the mind and the imagination that the mind is able to do. So it's important because it is through this container of the mind that you gain consciousness. Baba has said this so many times. You develop consciousness. You need consciousness if you're ever going to know your real self. If you're going to know yourself as being infinite, as being everywhere, as being all things, then you need consciousness. So the mind is the container in which consciousness occurs. And then when you break out of it, you experience your limitless self, because the self is the only reality. The self that you are is the only reality. It's like bubbles on the surface of the ocean. There can be millions of bubbles. We're each like a bubble. But if that bubble in the end merges with the ocean, what happens to you? What happens to the bubble? It becomes the whole ocean, not a half of it, not a third of it. It's the whole thing. You become one with God. In this case, it's the ocean of consciousness that everyone shares. So, so Baba was at one time in this gathering. He said, and you know, this was not recorded. It sort of went passed by somehow. Never got recorded to my knowledge. He said, if I wanted to give God realization to someone, then a person would come up to me and they would come up to me and I would give them the self-realization, and they would walk away and no one would know. No one would know the difference, because outwardly there would be no difference. You'd see a person walking up and leaving, and there would be no difference. But internally, he would have become one with me and with everything. He would be self-realized. He'd be God-realized. And at the time when Baba said this, there was a whole line of people coming up to him. There were so many people in a queue coming up, each one to Baba, and Baba would spend a moment or two with each one, and then they would continue on, and the next person would come. But then you see, this is when Baba stopped everything and made that statement about if somebody came up to him and he decided to liberate them, they would get God realization, they would just leave, no one else would know. So I'm thinking at the time, I said, you know something, all these people coming up, I wouldn't be surprised that this is not just an offhanded remark, but rather something that just happened, and just Baba just sort of made that statement about it. Well, it's just a speculation on my part. You know, I don't know that that really happened that way, but it wouldn't have surprised me. Now, Baba, you know, during the time of this gathering, there was a flock of birds that came under the tent. There was this big overhanging tent. And there was a whole huge flock of birds that came in under the tent and flew around Baba in circles. And then they flew around the whole gathering, the whole crowd that was under the tent, maybe 5,000 people. And they flew around all of us. And then they would fly around Baba, and then they would fly around everybody. And then they would, all of a sudden, the whole bunch just left from under the tent. They went out. And this was interesting because there was a sun shower. And when these birds went out, the rain started. It was a sun shower. The sun was out, but it started to rain. And it rained on the canopy until the canopy couldn't hold water anymore. And then it began to spray down on the people, on everybody. And then it started to pour down after a while when it really became soaked. And this is what occurred. And Baba said, why do I allow it to rain on my lovers when they all came here to be? If I am God, why am I allowing this? Now I'm paraphrasing because I'm trying to remember everything that the way Baba put it. But it's this is the essence of it. So then Baba explained, he said, there are pilgrims who are seeking for God, and they will go on huge pilgrimages to places sanctified by tradition. And they will roll in the dust, some of them, just to roll in the dust, just to get to the place too. And he said, this is to that extent that the love of these lovers of God would go to try and be, to go in their efforts on their pilgrimages. But look at you. You're all here in my company. In God and human form, I am. And Baba pointed this out. He said, remember, I am God in human form. And he told me and my brother this twice one time when we were about to leave. But and then now just to get back to this. So he said, these people, they will do this here. And you are so fortunate to be in my very company. And you don't have to do all that. In fact, you are now just getting some water on you. What I want is for the ladies in the gathering to go and be with Mera and the other women mandali, and they'll change your clothes and wear the saris, and the men can go to the hotels and get wear their fresh clothes if you like. But the thing is that I think my brother and I didn't do either one. We just sat there anyhow, and we just dried off. That was all. It was nothing. It was nothing to it. It was really a very happy, uplifting time with Baba. Baba didn't like if you worried, and it was really hard to worry around him. You know, this was one of the things that it's interesting that people should hear about and know this. Worrying around Baba was difficult, and because he changed your whole atmosphere, he changed your mentality, and he did it in a very natural way. It wasn't anything super. You didn't think like supernatural things are happening to me. No. It was just done very sweetly and lovingly, gently, very nice, and that's how it was. Well, these are some of the incidents in regards to the East-West gathering. I know that my brother and I, when we arrived, before we went in to see Baba, we didn't know where Guru Prasad was, where Baba was. But because we checked into the hotel, and now we just decided to take a walk. And we happened to take a walk. And where do we happen to walk? But right along where Guru Prasad is on one side of the road. And how did we know it was there? Because all of a sudden, all the lights went on. There were all these beautiful colored lights trimming the Guru Prasad building. Baba had set it up to be very joyful for everybody. And there was this celebration of lights. And all of a sudden, all the lights went on as we're walking by. And we say, oh, there's Baba in that house. You know, there he is in the house. And then the next day, we went to see him. So how did we go? My brother was there. Well, this was my third visit and my brother's second visit, this East-West gathering. And in the mornings, Baba saw just the Westerners. We would come, and maybe there was about 150 of us, that the entire number that was there for the East-West gathering. There was, in the afternoons, about 5,000, if not more people that saw Baba under the outside. We were outside under that big awning and canopy, which could accommodate that many people. But in the morning, we went inside of Guru Prasad in the large hall, and that hall was able to also accommodate a couple of hundred people. Anyhow, we come in, and we were walking up to Baba one at a time, and Baba would embrace each one. And then we would sit near him or around him. And this is the picture of what occurred in the morning time with Baba. And Baba, at one time, he turned to me and he said, what are you thinking? Happened that I was thinking about something I had read about these saints, that they will not, these saints, meaning people of the fourth, fifth, sixth plane, really high up there in the higher planes, would never look into your eyes. They won't look into your eyes. You can look at them, but they won't look into your eyes. And the reason is that the energy that they convey would be so much as to disrupt your mental state. So they don't like to look into your eyes. So when Baba asked what I was thinking, that's what I was thinking. So I said, Baba, I'm thinking I would like to look into your eyes. Leave it to me to ask something like that. So, but I wanted to see what is there to see if you look into the avatar's eyes. Well, Baba was not looking directly at me. He would sort of skim to the sides, left and go this way and that way. He wasn't looking straight into my eyes. So all right, I didn't think anything. So then I just looked down at the ground and I looked up. And when I looked up, he was looking straight at me, straight into my eyes. And I looked at him and I saw that Baba had brown eyes. I never thought of it before. There was nothing amazing and supernatural. But then later on, when after I think a few hours or a day maybe, it occurred to me what really happened. When I had looked down, and then I looked up and into Baba's eyes because he was looking straight at me, there was like a certain aspect of myself. Now, this is a little mysterious, that did not look up. It was like there was a part of me that just didn't look up. Physically, I looked up, yes. But there was an aspect of myself that didn't. And I thought, that's really odd. That's really strange. But it was true. This was the way it occurred. And I feel, later I sort of thought about it and I said, maybe this is how Baba veiled me so that there wouldn't be any disruption in the mentality as a result of staring into his eyes like that. But I had some really nice experiences with Baba. There was no doubt about it. Well, in that case, with the thoughts, and then he asked my brother, and my brother also answered him something, which I don't recall now what my brother said. But Baba at one point asked everybody if they wanted to sit with him in silence, or would they like for him to give a message or a discourse, something, he said. And I thought, I was never much for silence, but a discourse, yeah, I'd like to hear something. I'm just thinking that. And I'm sitting right there next to where Baba is. And Baba says, all right, I'll tell you something. And then he went on to tell us some interesting things that he wanted, and revealing different things about the spiritual path. So these things were some of the things that happened during the East-West gathering. And there was so much that happened. I mean, really, I remember more if I could. But this is the immediate things that I recall. And if anybody has any questions, you know, this is a very informal gathering. And if you don't believe me, just ask Jeff. He'll tell you himself.
Hey, Irwin, let me ask you, how did you feel when it was all over and you had to leave Baba? What was your feeling?
Well, we were together with a large group of people. It wasn't like we were individually able to just be with Baba. There were so many people, and everything was already planned for how long we would stay and how long and when we would leave. So I didn't have any thoughts that I'm craving to stay there, but I just felt that I was there and Baba did what he wanted, and now it was time to go. See, now it was time to go. In fact, in an earlier visit, Baba told me that he wanted me to return back to the States because I wanted to just stay there and live with Baba. But he wanted me to return back to the States. So you know, I didn't feel like I wanted to go back, but that was what he said, and I did it. I didn't question him. That was one of the things that I felt was very important, never to question him, because here's a person that knows everything. He knows everything. What's there to question? You're going to try and advise him of something better? It isn't going to happen that way. So I would do, and everything works out really great. You know, when you would do it, that if you followed his instruction, things worked out really well. It's only when you decided to go your own way, then anything could happen at that point. I hope that answers some of your questions.
Yeah, good. No. Anyone else have let me, this is not about the East-West gathering, but did you ever, after you first came to Baba, did you have any doubts about Baba at all?
I didn't have any doubts about him. When I went there so that he should show me God. I went with a purpose. It wasn't just to visit him and just sit there with others and such like that. I wanted him to show me the real thing. I wanted him to show me his real self, not just his human form, which we saw, but I wanted him to show me the real thing. And Baba told me a number of things about that, as to what would happen and how it would happen. And that was about as far as it went. He didn't want to give me any of the experience of his divine state. He wanted me to feel that he was my friend, that he was somebody that I could confide in. He was like an elder person in the family. He made himself feel like I was part of his family, and that was the limit that he would allow, and that was plenty. Let me tell you, he had me visiting every one of his family members, and when I was there, the first time I was there for 2 weeks.
Goer, is there anything that just comes to mind, because you were there as well?
Yes, that was a very special time. Of course, I was very little then. I was close to my 8th birthday, and months shy of my 8th birthday, I would say. And that was my first meeting with Baba. So very, very special time, of course. And I remember clearly, a large crowd being there, walking to the back of Guru Prasad. And in my mind, I knew that I wanted to just turn around and see Baba, and that's it, and not see anything else but Baba. And that's exactly how it happened. So um, then I just stood there, and I don't know how long I just gazed at him. So um, that was the initial meeting. Then, of course, the heavy showers in the afternoon, the torrential rain, all of us getting soaked, and Baba telling us to go in with all the Western ladies to be with Mera and the women Mandli inside, to change into dry clothing, because he was always very afraid of people catching cold and whatnot. So there I was amongst the ladies, and everybody was bustling around trying to get dry clothes for everyone else. The Mandli was trying to help all the Western ladies. And Mani very sweetly brought me one of her outfits, which she then proceeded to put on me. And of course, me being all of not even 3 foot high, her dress was like trailing. So she gathered it up and tied a little ribbon around my waist. And there I was in Mani's dress, which was very sweet. And then later on, she sent this dress to me after we had gone back home to Karachi, which I still have in my possession. So a very treasured relic that I still have. And then, of course, meeting Baba in the little room at Guru Prasad in the morning hours, I think it was, with limited, groups of people. So our Karachi group met him by ourselves, and me sitting there and just gazing at him, bowing down to him first, of course, taking his darshan. I remember putting my head on his left foot first, then on his right, and then in the middle. And I just held on to his, I remember that. And then when I stood up, embraced me. So another timeless moment. So what else do I remember about the East West gathering? So 4 days of real bliss being in his company, that's for sure. And my father was a volunteer with working, to help out with the Savas, and Dad always volunteered, so he was busy with all of that. Other than that, nothing else that I can recall.
Will is back.
I'm sorry. Oh, he's back. Okay, good.
Yeah.
I have something here which, I would like you to all hear this, because this is something that has to do with Mehra and the relationship that Baba had with Mehra. So I wrote it up in the form of a poem, and I'm going to read this here. It's called The Queen Mother of the Heart. He was the King of Kings, and she was his queen. He said she was the breath of his life. She loved him more than anyone in the world. Their kingdom extended far and wide. Everything on the outside, as far as you could see, even using the most powerful telescopes and microscopes, his kingdom went beyond even that. His kingdom went inside your mind and consciousness, to your very soul. Indeed, he was without doubt the King of Kings. People came to him from everywhere, not just now, but since people began. Whatever they wanted to know, whatever they wanted to do, they would come to him for his help. This king owned everything of the world and spirit. So he wanted nothing. He could be benevolent. He loved helping the less fortunate. His queen, too, was a real queen. She was a mother to all who came. The king was not always available. His work could take him away for years, so they would go to her. She would intervene to help the king spread love and wisdom throughout his land. The king and queen were loved everywhere. Sometimes he would travel in disguise. He would not wear his robes of light. He would cover the bliss of his being and the power of his throne. He would visit the homes of the humble, so without knowing who he is, he would see who loved him for himself and not for what he could give. People knew him as just, fair, and compassionate, often full of humor and fun. Such was this king of everything. One day, the body he was recognized by died. The queen was brokenhearted, but a strange thing happened on the hill where his tomb sits. A wonderful, intoxicating atmosphere rose up. The passing of his mortal coil was being replaced by the realization of his immortal self, beyond all physical limitations. The king was not really dead. Instead of mourning, there was a celebration. But still the queen could not bear the loss of her beloved. She missed combing his hair in the morning, serving his breakfast, the smiles, the sweet things they would exchange, the gifts, all the intimate and personal love between them. Her broken heart found it hard to bear. She prayed, "Where are you, my love, now that you have gone from my sight? Let me see you. I know you are here." Then it happened. She looked out her window, and there he was. His face had appeared in the bark of the tree, perfectly recognizable. Everyone came to see the miracle of his love for her. He was not gone, only waiting. People came to visit his queen for 20 years. She would tell the stories of her adventures and travels with him and his companions all over the world, how he worked to change the world and the lives of those who approached him. Beyond belief, the things he did with his heart, and then what she did with his heart for all who came to her. Now she would be the Queen Mother forever, just as he is the King of all kings forever. Then when the moment she was waiting for had come and she received the call to join her beloved, she left with this message: think of him and say his name. He will always help you. So said Her Most Royal Highness, the Queen Mother of the Heart.
Beautiful, Irwin, lovely.
I wanted everybody to know how much she loved Bob. And how much he loved her. When I mentioned this to the Mandali at one time, and how much she loved him, they said, yes, but you don't know how much he loved her. So there you have it. There you have it. It's all love, as far as the avatar is concerned.
Let's see if there are any more questions anyone have.
Every week I've been sending out a circular, and it has a poem in it, which I write. And I feel that Because you see, I always ask Baba before I send anything out. I say, Baba, what would you like everybody to know and understand? Because you're in the mind of all beings, of all people, of everybody. You know what everybody thinks. I don't. So you put it, so whatever is going to be said, it should be for everybody's understanding and how you want them to feel. So I'm going to read one more thing. And this is something I wrote just yesterday, which was, which was, which was something that I don't think too many people realize or think how connected they are with God. It's called omnipresence. What is omnipresence? What is my presence? You who are everywhere must be present everywhere. Like a fish in the water. The water is the same for all fish. Take the water away and all the fish will die. Like the air. Take the air away and all the breathers will die, including every person alive. We depend so much on these oceans, but that is all nothing compared to your presence. I feel my presence. You feel your presence. Everyone feels the same presence for themselves. There is one presence, and we all feel it. Take away your omnipresence, and no one will be present. We would all cease to exist. But that can never happen because your presence has no beginning or end. You are connected to everyone and everything everywhere. Where can I go but to you? I will follow the path of my own presence to you till it becomes boundless like you. Come, great Lord, come. I want to feel your all-pervading presence.
Wonderful.
And there you have it.
We've got a question here from VJ.
Hi, Jai Baba. Hello.
Hello, VJ.
Hi, this is
He was a
Vijay
little
from.
boy behind Baba's couch when I came there in 1960. 1960. And he was, look at you, you've grown up. Well, so go ahead, tell me something.
Oh, Irwin, I am your fan since beginning. See, the name Irwin Luck. Luck means fortune, and you're so fortunate. You've been born this lifetime to follow the avatar. So, and beautifully say, you have such a sweet access to Baba. Baba called you. Baba loved you. He paid attention to you. And now you're here to tell the world, describe his beauty. I really liked that now your wordings that you're in the company of God. You need not to do anything, and you're sitting and your memories of like 62 east west gathering, you're watching the birds. And see, I was there. I was crying simply when he came on the stage. He waved to the crowds and I was back in the back. I was 11-year-old boy, and I was watching and I just see him, watch him waving, and he seemed to be so close, and the tears flowed from my eyes, and I didn't know why I was crying. And yeah, so you talk about the omnipresence and your just your speculation about reality and illusion. And see the duality. So illusion is so necessary to realize the reality. So that's wonderful illusion. This illusion, and but it makes us source also. It makes a way to reach the reality, because unless we realize the illusion, we can't reach the reality. So that's really
VJ,
beautiful.
I
Yeah, yeah,
want to say this.
yeah.
There is a reason for the illusion, and I had to make it simple for myself because I can't think too complicated. The illusion, or you might say the imagination, which is all illusion, uh, is in order to develop consciousness. Baba explained that the mind comes about in order to develop consciousness. So you go through evolution and gradually you develop consciousness until you reach the human form. And when you reach the human form, that's when you want to break out of the container of the mind, which is now a total limitation for you because it's not even, it creates illusions. It creates the mentality for developing consciousness, and you've already got it. Now it's time to get free and to experience your unlimited existence instead of your limited one. And this was the only simplistic manner that I could understand it for myself, because you can't talk about something unless you understand it first yourself. And then you can maybe tell others about what you understand. And that's what this illusion, this imagination, this mentality, this mind, this emotional states, the mental thoughts and feelings, all of this is just to keep you awake so that you don't fall asleep. And then because you fall asleep, you lose consciousness. So you have to stay conscious and awake. And the awakener comes to wake you up in the real sense. And that's what I have come to realize.
Yeah.
He has to wake you up from the dream, from the illusions. There's nothing to meditate. There's nothing to concentrate. Anything that's done within the framework of the mind is not going to take you out of the mind. It's not going to take you out of the shell. You have to be woke up, and that's his job. You see, you can't just make yourself awake, and not in the real sense like he is. So only someone who's there, that is awake in the real sense, can wake up someone who's still within the framework of mentality. So even these fifth and sixth plane saints, they're such high conscious beings. The difference between the infinite state and the limited state, even then in their state, which can appear to be somewhat unlimited within the realm of the mind, still it's nothing. The infinite state is a non-dual state of existence. It is everywhere, everything. You can't even imagine what Baba thinks and how Baba experiences. There was someone that asked Baba, is your consciousness different, very different from mine? And Baba just answered one word: very, very different. Because the man who sees himself everywhere and everything can't be compared to the man who sees himself only in one spot, in one place, as we do. We see ourselves in our own little body, and there's a whole cosmos out there. How do you adjust to that? Well, he sees himself differently. And I wanted to see him the way he sees himself. I wanted to look through his eyes. At one time I wrote about that to him. I said, I wanted to see as you see, because it's the only real seeing there is. Everything else is all passing show. VJ, what happened to you? Where are you?
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm seeing that 1960 you were wearing white shirts. Now you look so colorful and and so graceful. And I think really my father had also long letter writing with you, and you had a
Yeah.
good communication. And I used to read those letters, and he used to
Oh, yeah.
describe me. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
So I've been following you. See, I came to States. I stayed with you, and it's great to know yourself, and one from your life also you can inspire people. That really the greatness of Avatar. I'm still exploring the see. Uh, so many aspects of Avatar, reading about him. See, people discuss intellectual aspects, but the love means you like when you love someone, you like to know each and everything, not just intellectual thing, what he was eating, what he was doing, what he did. And that's what we discuss. When we love Baba, we are discussing all aspects, meeting his people,
Yeah.
and other one thing I appreciate, Irwin, that when Baba dropped in 1969, and how and in India, people say they just saw his physical aspect, physical body. Oh, Baba is gone now. But then the divine aspect, the divinity, you took your cameras, your team, and you flogged inside India. Maybe I think 72, 73, you toured entire India. You contacted, you made a movies and grasped their experiences. You wanted to know the divinity of his avatar. And so that's why people were impressed in India. Oh, what happened to these crazy Westerners? And they're asking us all these questions. And so that was a very important phase for us. Yeah.
The films that we took at that time was all over the world. We went everywhere to hear the stories of what people had to say about the things that Baba said and did with them personally. We didn't want secondhand stories,
Yeah.
things that, well, someone else said this or someone else. No, no, what
Right.
happened to you? What did Baba do with you? And that's why it became such a really intense and strong, very powerful thing, for people to hear the personal stories, the things that went on. And so we went through Europe, we went through the United States, we went through Australia, we went through Persia, we went just everywhere, that there was anybody that, and through India, through northern, southern India, all over India, to hear the tales of what these people said about this avatar and why they believed he was an avatar. Baba did so many incredible things with them. It was really, it is the most inspiring thing to hear all these stories. I'm telling you, sometimes I just have to turn it on and listen to it because I'm copying it over to another disc, and you get caught up in the tale of what they're saying, and not just in the technical aspects of copying it. You see, so now we have about 100,000 feet of film. Well, this is enormous. That and digitized and being put on what we call M discs, which are supposed to last 1,000 years. I'll see you in 1,000 years and we can see if the disc still works. Who knows? But that's what they say.
Yeah.
Well, anyhow, it
Great.
has longevity. It'll last for a long time for the
Irwin,
generation of people.
Irwin, what would you say to younger people who are about living for Baba? Or, well, no, let's do it this way. What would you say to yourself, that what you know now, what would you say to yourself when you were in your 20s and 30s? What would you say about how to live?
I would say to myself, you're doing a good job. Keep it up. But that's me. But you see, everybody wants to better themselves. that's what the whole spiritual path is about. It's to improve yourself, to better yourself. And getting in connection, I would say, getting in connection with the perfect master who's already one with with God, with you. He's one with everybody. But he's mostly one with you. You see, that person then is able to bring you to the enlightenment more better than anybody that who's not enlightened. See, people follow all kinds of teachers and spiritual masters and that. But if they're not enlightened and they don't have the God realized state, they haven't attained that, then it's still something they have to achieve. But if you can get to the person, in this case, you have the avatar. Now, there's an interesting thing about being connected to Baba. You don't have to have his physical form to do that. If you want his help, if you want to advance yourself in any way, all you got to do is just direct your thoughts, your mind directly to him, because he picks all that up immediately. The mental world is everywhere also. You don't, it's not like the physical world where you got to go from one place to the other place. This is the mental world. You can connect yourself to him with a sheer thought, just a thought. And if a person doesn't understand that, then they're missing out on how they can have that connection. And because Baba would he he was always saying the same thing. He said, "I'm not this body that you see. This is not what I am." Well, and not what you are. Then what are you? You see, that is where you can connect with him with the mind directly. And when people need help, they should not hesitate to ask Baba for help. Now, the way that I've seen that Baba answers is not necessarily you're going to hear a voice coming at you. Oh, no, he doesn't do that with me. What he does is he works through circumstance, which is far better than any talk. When you need something and you need to have help in a certain way, you can't say to him how he should do it. He will do it the way that it works, the way that it's the best thing for you. He's always out for your best interest at heart. He doesn't want to hurt or harm. He doesn't hurt or harm anybody. It don't matter how good or bad, even evil people. If anybody is a bad person and they think that they can't approach Baba because they've done so many bad things, they're making a mistake, because Baba doesn't look at that. He's not looking at what you did. He's looking at what you're going to become. You have to become. So he has to advance you. And that is what his work is. His mission is always been. So everybody can approach him. A devil or a saint makes no difference to Baba. He is not there for the good ones only, or the bad ones only. He's there for everyone because he's in everyone. Look, he's the one self in everyone. He's the self of each one. When he says, "I'm closer to you than your own breath," well, so what's closer to you than your own breath? Yourself. And that's what he is. So he's there for everyone all the time. We have only to try to connect to him. I was very fortunate. I could connect to him in his physical, when he was in physical form too. So he could talk to me and tell me things. And everything he ever said was always worked out very well. But now I don't do that. I mean, I'm like anybody else that hasn't met him or wanted to meet him. I have to approach him the same way. If I have a problem and I can't deal with it, that's when I approach him. I do the best I can with whatever there is. But when I can't deal with things, then I ask for his help. I said, "Baba, now I need your help. I can't do this here. Please help me." And if you do it with loving heart and where you are sincere, the help comes. And it comes through the circumstances of your life, which is really life itself. Now, with some people, they say they actually can hear and tell them things, and so that doesn't happen with me. And having said all that, I don't know if you can do it.
No, that was beautiful. Really, that's very, very reassuring.
One last
Anybody.
thing, Jeff, one last thing I want to say about that. I want to give an actual incident of when that happened. I wanted badly to go to see Mayor Baba before, this is the first time before I even ever went to see him. I had no money. I didn't have no money to make any trip. I didn't know what to do about that. And I was somewhat desperate to see him because I got a letter from Mani. At that time, she was sending out these family letters where it was sent to everybody in the West. And it was saying that Baba will soon be entering seclusion. He's going to go into seclusion for 6 months. And then and she said, and during that time, Baba didn't want anyone to write to him or to visit him. Except in emergency, you could send a telegram. Oh boy, when I got that, I thought, 6 more months. It's been 6 months that I've been trying to go, and now I can't go, and nothing happens. I have no money to take a plane or to go in any way. What am I going to do? And in the desperation, that's where I got the idea. I got the idea of what I should do, and I did it. I wrote to Baba, and I said, "Dear Baba, I want very much to have the benefit of your love, your direction, and your guidance. But the only thing preventing me from coming to see you is that I don't have any money, and I know that if it is your will, I'd be able to come, providing it's your will." Should I make the story short? In 2 weeks, I was there. 2 weeks later, I was there. All the circumstances that wouldn't work out, all of a sudden, everything from no, it became yes, which is always wonderful. You know, if no becomes yes, you're going to like it, believe me. So Baba, he changed the circumstance. Then when I was there, one of the first things he asked is, "How did you come?" So I said, "Baba, I was able to come because it was your will." And as soon as I said this, he motioned for me to stand up and to tell it to the group that was present in the room. At the time, there was about 15 people in the room. And I stood up and I said, "I'm here because it is Baba's will." And I knew how true this was because all that time I couldn't manage it. There was nothing that worked. And then as soon as Baba said what he did, the circumstances adjusted themselves because that's what he wrote back. He said, "Don't worry, circumstances will adjust themselves." And then 2 weeks later, I'm there. Okay. So you direct your thoughts, if you have to, connect to him in any way. And the mind is everywhere, does not operate by the same rules as the physical world, and he will immediately receive that and help you. When you have everything and you are everything, what's left? You help everybody. There's the only thing left to do. What are you going to do? You can do anything. You're omniscient, omnipresent, you know, like that poem I read, it's poem, you know, omnipresent, omnipotent. I have to remember how to say that.
See if it's getting late, but if there are any other questions, don't hesitate. You know, Irwin's in the mood. Grab him while he's available. If any questions, but what you have said is really invaluable, I feel. the way you approach Baba, you know, nothing shy about it, or
No holds barred.
no holds barred. Yeah. Anyone feel free. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. One last one story there.
All right. This is about my friend Phil Cowens. Phil Cowens was a real troublemaker when I met him. I met him in the Air Force when I was in the reserves. And he was there, and he was known to be a troublemaker, a womanizer. He was he was really fairly undisciplined. So he had one saving grace. He was interested in the beyond. And when I told him something about Mayor Baba, he realized that, wait, Mayor Baba is of the beyond. This is what he realized. Well, when he heard that, he wanted to know all about Mayor Baba. So he lay down so we went to the barracks because he asked me if I had anything that I could read to him. So I said, yeah, we'll go to the barracks. And he lay down on the floor, on this wooden floor, this hard floor. And he said, please read. So I started to read what Baba had said. I had some of the brochures. Now he falls asleep. And suddenly, so I stopped reading. And as soon as I stopped reading, he woke up and he jumps up and he says, I want to be able to contact Mayor Baba immediately. I'm in so much trouble. I need help so much. Can I contact him? So I said, well, Baba is in seclusion and he is not seeing anyone right now. And he's not allowing even for communication, except in a telegram. You can write a telegram. He allows that. So he says, oh, I don't know if it's an emergency to write a telegram. So I thought I'll help him a little bit. I said, does an emergency have to be bad? Does it have to be a bad emergency? So when I said this, he got the point. Right. So we went straight to the telegraph office. But before we went, he said, I can't go to the telegraph office because they're going to throw me in jail the minute that I come back because I've been late every time back to my duty section and they won't allow it. So I said, look at who you're contacting. Do you know who this is? He runs all of the... He is the Lord of everything. He is the one that controls all of that. And you're worried about about coming back to the barracks. And he says, you're right, but I want you to come with me too. So I said, now I'll be late. But of course, what a hypocrite I would be if I wouldn't go. So I had to go. So we went, and he writes this telegram and he sends it to Baba. Now, Baba, so 2 weeks go by, and that's when they dismissed everybody from the base to go home because I was in the reserve. So you go home after 2 weeks, and he was on active duty, so he'd go to wherever they sent him. And as we're leaving the base, this person pulls up across there's a big field, a huge field, and this person pulls up in the car, jumps out of the car, and yells across the field, "Are you Phil Cowens?" he says. So Phil turns around and he hears it. Yeah, I'm him. And he says, "There's a telegram for you." And with that, he jumps back in the car and takes off. Now, a telegram? So we had to go to the telegraph office and collect the telegram. And it's from Baba. This telegram that comes to him is from Baba. And Baba essentially, you know, I don't remember the exact wording, so I'll give you the gist of it. Baba tells him that what will help him most is his love for Mayor Baba. And now this is not something that is like something you do, a detailed thing. You know, you're talking about the heart. All right, so he goes home and I go over to his house to see him. And what happens? He gets a letter from Baba. Also, there's a letter that comes. Now, this letter is very interesting because in this letter, Baba gave him 10 different points that he is to do, 10 instructions that he was to do. But after writing for 10 instructions, Baba says in the letter, you will fail to do this. So it's like he gives him 10 orders, 10 things to do, and then tells him he's going to fail to do it. And then Baba says, so come and see me at the East-West, so come and see me when I call. So that was what happened. And so then the time that he was to call was at the East-West gathering. But what I wanted to tell you about him was that he had no money to go anywhere. And my brother Edward and I also had money now because we had saved our money in case Baba were to call. And then when Baba called for everybody to come to the East-West gathering, we didn't have we had the money, but my father wrote to Baba that how are we going to go when we're stealing the money from the family to go to see me? See, my father was very against Baba, didn't want us to ever go there. So he made up stories, you know, and he said, we're stealing the money, and that Baba doesn't need such crooks for disciples. He went on and on about that. Now, Baba then sent back a letter through Adi saying that we should give our father whatever money that he claims is his, and then beg of him to lend us the money to go to see Baba. So I tell my father, I said, look, this is what I'm going to do. Can you imagine? I had no intention of ever doing anything like that. To give him the money that we were going to use to go and see Baba, never would that happen. But because this letter came, then I thought, oh, well, if Baba says, we do. And it wasn't Baba saying it directly. It was Adi that was suggesting it. But I felt that Baba was behind that. Anyhow, so I talked to my dad. I said, Dad, look, this is the letter that came. I'm going to give you whatever you want. How much do you want? He says, what? You're going to give me everything I want, whatever I want? I said, that's right, Dad, I'm going to do that. He says, well, we'll see about that. I want it all. I said, didn't I earn anything working for you? He says, that's not the point. You're out of your mind. And you have you're irresponsible. You can't use, you don't know what to do with money. So I said, look, whatever you say, I'm going to do. You want it all? I'll give it all to you. So he can't believe it. He can't believe that we're really going to do this. So he says, it's a trick. There's a trick here. I told him, I said, well, look, Dad, trick or no trick, I'm going to do this for you. So he says, all right, tomorrow I'll bring the papers from the bank. They're going to transfer the funds over to my account, and then we'll see what happens. So sure enough, he comes the next day, and he puts the papers down, and I sign all the papers to transfer all the money that I had in my account into his account. And that was where it was going to end up. And now I had nothing. I had no more money to go anywhere. So I said, look, Dad, I'm going to, Baba, Adi says in the letter that I should ask you to lend me the money now, what we need for just Edward and I, because I had enough money. I was going to help a whole lot of people to go. There was about 5 or 6 other people that didn't have, and I was going to help them with it. But now I didn't have anything for myself even. So I said, look, Dad, Edward and I, we want to go. So just lend us the money. I did what was said, my part. It was said that you should do this part. And he looks at me like the cat that swallowed the canary. And he says, well, I'll think about it. So I said, there's no time to think. The flight is going to be leaving. You can't think. There's no time for that. Just tell me yes or no. You want to do it, you do it. You don't want to do it, say it now. And then I'll have to look for some other way of going. He says, don't push me. I mean, you push me, I won't do it. I said, look, all right, Dad. Just tell me one way or the other, it's okay. Because I'll find another way. He says, oh, you're going to find another way. Yeah, what are you going to do? What way are you going to find? I said, I'll go to New York and I'll see what I can do about it. So I go to New York. And I had this credit card, American Express credit card. And on the car, it says that fly now, pay later. So I thought, well, I'll go in. But I never used the card. I had no credit, I don't know. I go into and the woman at the counter, she says, oh, well, I'll call up and we'll see if they will extend the credit for a ticket, because I wanted a ticket to Bombay. So she calls up and then she says, when did you want to leave? And I realized they're going to give me a ticket. How do you like that? They're going to give me a ticket. But then I thought, well, wait a minute. Edward has to go too, because Baba wanted the both of us to go. So I said to her, it'll be 2 tickets. Make out 2 tickets. He says, well, I'll have to call and see if they'll extend the credit. And then she says, and so she calls and then she says, well, they're only going to permit 1 ticket that you can get. I'm thinking, well, what am I going to do with 1 ticket? Baba wanted the both of us. So I said, all right, one bird in the hand, we'll try something else next time. Well, I was not able to arrange anything else. I went to the banks, I tried to get loans, I tried to get other credit cards, nothing worked. And all I had was 1 ticket. So what do? I call up Phil. I said, Phil, do you have any money? He says, no. I said, I have a ticket here and you can go and use this ticket to go see Baba. I can't use it because both Edward and I have to go and I only have 1, so you go. So he says, no, I can't take the ticket. I said, well, why not? He said, because I'm undeserving. I don't deserve it. I said, you don't deserve it? Who says you don't deserve it? Baba didn't say you didn't deserve. Baba invited you to come. He didn't ask how deserving you are. Why are you making up something now? And he says, well, maybe you're right, And he says, I'll take the ticket. I'll take it. Yeah, but I don't have no money to stay at a hotel and I have no money for food and I have no money. I said, you got to have some money. Baba, how can you not have money? You own something, sell it. He says, what can I sell? So I said, you have baby, you can sell baby. He says, baby? Me sell baby? I said, well, yeah, you could sell baby. So baby, by the way, just so that you don't get too upset, was his car. You see, he treated his car like a baby. Whatever the car needed, he gave the car. So now to sell the car was like selling his baby, so we called it baby. And he actually went ahead and did sell it and was able to come up with all the funds. But in the meantime, we didn't have anything. So what happens? You see, the point was that the reason I told this story is I wanted people to know that that if you feel you're undeserving, you don't do that with the avatar. The avatar is not there caring about your past and how good or bad you are. You're never too good for him and you're never too bad for him. He is only interested in advancing your consciousness. That's his job. That's what he's here for. So whatever you had been in before isn't going to matter as far as your future is concerned, as far as Baba is concerned. Now, well, just to make it short now, so Baba sends a cable to Harry Kenmore. When he found out that we weren't coming, he sends a cable to him in New York, and he was running the flights also. And the cable read, Mayor Baba orders you to give Irwin and Edward the money that they need for their flight to come and see me, as well as their expenses. And then when we were with Baba in India, that's how we got there. And then when we were with Baba in India, Baba then said, now he turned that into a debt. Up until then, it wasn't even a debt. It was just an order for Harry to do. And Harry did it. Not almost. Well, anyhow, that's the story.
One last little bit. How was Phil Cowan's trip? I mean, how was that for him?
Well, Phil, Baba said that whoever wanted to, Baba said that when whoever comes up to him could pay their respects to him the way they wanted, any way they wanted. Phil came up and prostrated himself on the floor, full length, to Baba's feet. And that's how he introduced himself, you might say, to Baba. And then Baba had him get up and Baba embraced him. And Phil his entire life was transformed after that. He was no longer the same person anymore. He would talk about Baba to everybody. He read God Speaks, and he was able to explain the spiritual path to people according to how Baba gave. I mean, he was completely Baba's after that.
Beautiful, beautiful. Hey, so let's have, let's see if we've got somebody who, a final reading. Let's see if we can find a final reading of Baba's words. Let's see if somebody, Omer Prasad, I don't know if he's still around, or anyone else. Let's see.
I've got a wonderful quote here.
Okay.
My wife just put it in my hands and said, you've got to read this at your meeting.
Okay, and then we'll have a few, after that we'll have a few moments of silence. And Irwin, thank you so much, really. Just beautiful, you know. Oh,
You're mute.
go ahead, Michael, yeah.
I love you. Do not worry about your weaknesses. Eventually, they will go. Even if they linger, love will one day consume them. Everything disappears in the ocean of love. Because I love you, you have a pool of love within you. When you feel wretched, when you fall in your weakness, have a dip in that pool of love. Refresh yourself in that pool of my love within you. It is always there. Even if you wash your weaknesses every day in that pool, it will remain clear. Don't worry, Baba loves you. That is what really matters. Meher Baba.
Michael, can you read it once again?
Yes,
Magnificent quote.
I love you. Do not worry about your weaknesses. Eventually, they will go. Even if they linger, love will one day consume them. Everything disappears in the ocean of love. Because I love you, you have a pool of love within you. When you feel wretched, when you fall in your weakness, have a dip in that pool of love. Refresh yourself in that pool of my love within you. It is always there. Even if you wash your weaknesses every day in that pool, it will remain clear. Don't worry, Baba loves you. That is what really matters. Meher Baba.
Jai Baba. Wow. Irwin, thank you again. Beautiful, and a beautiful story about Phil Collins. What a beautiful thing that Baba did. I'm going to ask Nasreen to give us the Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. This is
Avatar Meher Baba Ki
Ki
Jai.
Jai.
Avatar Meher Baba Ki
Ki
Jai.
Jai.
Avatar Meher
Meher Baba.
Ki Jai.
Ki Jai.
beautiful.
Jai Baba.
Thank you, Nasreen.
You're welcome. Jai Baba.
Yeah. Irwin, that's great. You brought Baba right in. Right into our living rooms, our studies, our wherever we are. Our trailers, our houses. Good. Yeah. So, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And just that's part 3, and sometime we'll like to hear again from you in the future, because it is really brings Baba's personality, his manner, and everything right here before us. So it's beautiful. Yeah. Let's see. I hate to say goodbye. Any last word there, Irwin? Anything that occurs to you?
Well, I think that Baba was very happy with his lovers. He said they were gems. That so many of his lovers were gems. They came to him, and he was just very, very pleased. He liked his lovers very much, And even if you haven't met him physically this time, remember, there's always next time. Next time, you know, you think you have to wait 700 years, maybe 1400 even. You don't, because nobody lives that long. And when you're in your subtle body or your ethereal body, you can see him much differently. And the connection is there. You know, you have to wait all that time, like you think you have to be reincarnated in the physical form. Well, that can happen too, but not necessary for connecting with him the way you see him.
And the beautiful thing is his personality is always here. You know, so we can always access that and have that companionship. That's the beautiful thing. Okay, well, I hate to say goodbye. You know, here on the East Coast, we are at 11:43. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Jai
Thank
Baba.
you. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Irwin.
Thank you, Irwin Yao.
Thank you.
Thank you, Irwin.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.